time for PL Express, and there's lots to talk about here. We've got to start with Manchester United's draw with Liverpool. Only one of our FC pundits predicted this. He didn't get the scoreline right, but he predicted it would be a draw. For many, Manchester United fans are feeling like this is a win. Should they be?
No, absolutely not. I mean, look, when you go by the book as a player, results are important, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter how, but I mean, this is still Manchester United, so I'm not going to take anything away from them. Liverpool had their chances, didn't. I mean, obviously we're dominating, but Manchester United did what many middle table teams do: come to Anfield and defend for their life. I expect a lot more. If this is going to be a catalyst for the things to come for Manchester United, then this is going to feel to me like a win. If it's not, then it's a shame, because Ten Hag's telling us there's process, there's progress. I don't care, how many players are suspended or injured. We have an example of everybody. Look at Newcastle, on their knees, basically playing with the same players, losing even more. And look at the way they play, with energy, with philosophy to win. And we've been told that this Manchester United and this manager is going to play in a certain way. So certainly that wasn't it, because they did absolutely nothing, with one exception, of course, where they could have won the game, where Højlund had that opportunity that was saved, because that was really a great opportunity. But look, I mean, it's about results, it's about points, and at the, where Manchester United have been going to Anfield, where Liverpool, I think, it's been 35 games and they scored in every one of them. They have won every game at Anfield this season. So you have to say that Manchester United did accomplish something, right? But other than that, if you look at the mighty Manchester United and all the plans and all the talk about Ten Hag, his style of play, I mean, I wouldn't want to be a fan of Manchester United watching that.
Does this result change anything for them, though?
Well, as I said, it depends on what happens from now on. Is this going to be a catalyst where the players start believing? I don't know. Based on what I've seen this season and even this game, nothing's changed for me. I mean, this is still, this is a team like any other, as I've mentioned, middle, table team or even below would have normally done. Go to Anfield and try not to lose. And this to me, what it was, but it serves a purpose. So again, I want to make sure that people understand it. I get it, because a point is a big point at Anfield. We'll see what they do with it.
All right. I just want to mention something Jose Mourinho's just had to say on John Obi Mikel's podcast. He said Manchester United still have players and staff that he worried about and warned about when he was there, and that they're still in place. And he obviously sees this as a big part of the problem. Do you take any weight with what Mourinho's had to say here, or do you feel it's still just a bit of a dig?
Well, it's probably both. I mean, look, I mean, I often don't agree with Jose Mourinho, but I respect him immensely. I wouldn't want to be coached. Well, I'd want to win all the trophies that he's won. So that's why my respect comes in from that. But I think it was a little bit of a dig, but it's a knowledge from inside, because he's been right with everything he said so far. Since him, even a little bit before him, there hasn't been much success. And the players that have been there make a lot of money without any success for the most part. Obviously, last season, the League Cup, you can't take that away from Ten Hag, because he came in and did what he promised then to do. He hasn't moved on just yet. And maybe the reason that we haven't seen the progress is that Ten Hag also knows what Jose Mourinho knew and he's talking about. And maybe he is in the process of changing that mentality and getting rid of some of the players that don't see Manchester United as this massive club. So I want to give Manchester United and Erik Ten Hag a little bit benefit of the doubt. And certainly I wouldn't dismiss what Jose Mourinho has said.
Before we move on to talk about the other team in Manchester, just a question in the comments about Manchester United saying, is Ten Hag the one to finally get it right, or is he going to be just another failure there?
Well, I don't know if he's going to be a failure, but I certainly expect Manchester United for the rest of the season to show progress. We haven't seen it. It's been one fire after another. We haven't seen the style that everybody's used to. Even Jaap Stam has mentioned that Ten Hag, this is not the way he plays, right? He's at a massive club that spent a lot of money. He's brought a lot of his players that he knew who are underperforming tremendously for him, right? And I expect Manchester United to, at the very least, finish in the top 4. I mean, where's the progress? Last season was very good, and Manchester United shouldn't be at a place where they are. They shouldn't be playing against their arch rival the way they have been. So if Manchester United finish where they are, and we're going to see more games like we've seen the other day, then he would have failed.
Here's a little either or for you. We've also got, will he win the league with United or be sacked? That's my question.
Win the league when? Is there a timetable? I mean, we're not talking. Yeah, I'm asking honestly. Sure, we're not talking about this season, right? Or just in general. I mean, look, I don't have a crystal ball, but what I'm seeing right now are facts, and they're nowhere near that this season or even next season.
Okay, well, talking about winning the league, I want to talk about Manchester City because they've stumbled again. Before we get to the title race, what is the root of their issue right now?
You know, as Bernardo Silva said the other day, I mean, he admitted that they're tired. You know, I normally don't hear that from Manchester City. A small squad with some injuries. Everybody has to deal with that. We're talking, I think, 8 games without a clean sheet, which is a massive problem for them because at their best, we know that you couldn't breach them. I mean, they conceded less than 10 goals, right? Now, I don't know, it's 20 or something like that, right? They conceded late goals. And you know, this is a game against Crystal Palace where they were in total control. And by the end of the game, they were in total panic, which for me, that was the most unusual part. Not necessarily the goal. Obviously, it was scored in the 95th minute. But even before that, this was a Manchester City team that lost control completely. You could see Crystal Palace just kind of, you know, getting in behind, defensive problems and individual defending. Very, very poor. Ruben Dias, again, we've talked about him. We know he's not at his best. Even Ake, the way he was beat to one of the goals. I mean, you've got to do better. You see him, and then you lose sight of a player 1 yard away from goal. That's unacceptable. A player like Mateta caused them all kinds of problems. So yes, defensively and just concentration, they got to snap into it. Now is the time, because lack of concentration has cost them in many games right now, right? I mean, dominating, as they've said, you know, they've dominated Spurs, they've dominated Liverpool, they've dominated Crystal Palace, and there's that lack of concentration. So I think if you Manchester City fan, you're hoping, because I'm starting to think, are they going to come good, and when are they going to come good? This is the time, because there's no
season, right?
Well, see, the thing is that people will say that motivation, right?
Well, I don't want to think about that because, yeah, it has to be one of the questions, Janusz. They won everything last year. Just naturally, you can say winning's contagious, but just naturally, when you know you have, do you still have the same drive? Does every single player still have the same drive to go and achieve that again?
Yeah, but, you know, I was thinking about that more as a player. I mean, you love winning it, right? No matter what. And I can understand the first half of the season, and they've done it in the past, but the margin for error is so small that that can just kickstart you. Because look, 5 points away now. Now they're going to miss a game or two, right? They're away to play Urawa today as we speak pretty soon. And I think when they come back, they're going to look at the same situations last season, being, you know, 8-9 points away. But I think that motivates players, because now that lack of concentration doesn't exist. Every game is a final. It's a must win. So when you have players that now understand, without Pep Guardiola saying anything, hey, this is the business end of the season. Every game is a final right now. I think players like that, players in Manchester City, will thrive on that. So this is going to be what I think is going to kickstart their season. Isn't going to be enough? Again, I don't know. But I promise you that you're going to see Manchester City much better defensively, Manchester City that doesn't lose concentration in key moments, and Manchester City that puts away opponents when they dominate. But, you know, there's always that little time where sometimes it's a little bit too late. I wonder, because this has been, right, the worst start under Pep Guardiola for Manchester City. You can only do that so often. But look, Haaland's going to be back. De Bruyne is back. You watch. It's going to change just because they have so much talent.
Okay, so don't tell me the big title race pointer just yet, because we've got a couple of more pointers to get to. Obviously, Man City, as you mentioned, are in Club World Cup action. With Villa right now, it was put to Stevie Nicol on the ESPN FC show whether or not they're in the mix when it comes to the title race, and he said he's not ready to put them there just yet. Do you agree with him or do you disagree with him?
Yeah, I'm not going to put him there. No, I mean, you know, first of all, I mean, to me, you have to prove it. So again, guessing if this sort of start can continue, it's silly, because now, you know, they're not dog days of summer, but, you know, of winter and the festive season, and some key injuries, not that I wish them on Aston Villa, are going to come. No, they're not ready. The pressure's going to come, and that's going to be the key. They've never been in that situation. They're great at home, but as we've seen, even in that last game, they came back, but away, they're not the same team. And I think this is going to pile on onto them a little bit. So we've seen that from Newcastle last year. I mean, they obviously had to go at it, made it to top 4, but paying the price right now for whatever reason. I just think when it's all said and done, as I've said, teams that are deep in quality in their squad. You look at right now, Arsenal, you look at Manchester City, there is zero reason to logically think that Villa can match those two teams alone. I'm not even sure they can match Liverpool in that as well. So absolutely not. I mean, look, I know there's been a Leicester City once, but this is not going to happen. And it shouldn't happen. It's too early, and I'm sure Unai Emery will be the first one. They're going to have a difficult time fighting for top 4. Never mind Premier League title.
But props to them, obviously, from what we've seen so far. So you just mentioned Man City. We've been talking about them. Just mentioned Arsenal, and you said maybe a Liverpool there. So we're going to get to the Gunners' hopes. But before we went on today, you said that you have a clear favourite in the title race. You didn't say clear, right?
Well, I did say clear, but I mean, you know, I want to give Manchester City.
Now you're retracting it.
No. I'm because I'm not retracting it, because you know it, and all the viewers that have been with us for now 2 or 3 years know that last season I would never.
Last season you would not shift every single week. I asked
Never.
If you had any issues. Even when Arsenal were top of the league, you kept saying, no, City are going to do it, City are going to do it, City are going to do it. And you wouldn't waver. So when you said this before today's show, I thought the way he said that, it suggests that something different is going to come out of his mouth.
Yeah, because Arsenal are definite contenders for the title.
They're your favourite.
Definite contenders. They are favourites. I'm not afraid to say it.
I got a favourite.
Look, all the ingredients are in. I don't know. I mean, if not now, when? You know, forget the City, because that was the same situation last year, that they weren't at their best and they eventually found their way. And of course, Manchester City can do that again. But last year, I didn't think Arsenal were ready to do that, right, over the course of the whole season. This year, if I look at the facts, everything is in. I mean, this is a team that's one of the best in terms of attack, the best defense. In terms of character and spine, everything's there, right? Saliba, arguably for me, the best central defender in the league. He was, even that last year, we were just probably afraid to say it, but he certainly is. Declan Rice, I mean, I hope, I haven't heard Patrick Vieira mentioned once this season. And last year and the year before, that's all we talked about, right? That they don't have a leader. They don't have a character in the center of the pitch that can do that. He certainly, now that he's finally moved centrally and not on the left side of that midfield, is there. We have a team that doesn't panic, can win home or away, a team that has proven that can win games very, very late. A team that goes to places that normally we thought they would fold, you know, the difficult ones at this part of the season, maybe January, we'll have to wait and see. But, you know, the Burnleys, you know, the tough grounds when it gets physical, that's no longer an issue. They have a brilliant manager that's proven that he's brilliant in Mikel Arteta. We have a team that's extremely good on set pieces. I think they may lead the league, at least in corners, most goals scored from corners. I mean, tell me one category that would make me not say that they're definitely contenders. This season, they can fight Manchester City.
Last year, you kept using the word contenders. You said before the show you have a clear favourite.
They're favorite. They're one of the favorite. They're one of the favorites to win the league. Yes, I mean, if Arsenal, let me put it this way: Arsenal are ready to win the Premier League this year. Okay. I have no doubts. Look, another fact that
on it now, who would you go for, Arsenal or City?
At this moment, it's Arsenal. It's absolutely Arsenal because of everything that I've mentioned. And the fact that they're scoring by committee, which I, by the way, love, because one of the things they'll say, well, that number 9. But look, everybody, defenders, midfielders, strikers are scoring. Edin Nketiah comes off the bench and scores, right? He's got 5 goals. I don't know, probably close to top goal scorer there as well. So although, yes, they could probably, just like any team, use maybe a little bit more depth, another player or two, which, by the way, they may or may not, I don't know, they may address in January as well. But at this stage, because this is different Manchester City that we saw last year, right? Remember last year, you kept on asking me about Erling Haaland. He had 1 million goals by now. Not there, for sure. The team defensively is not the same Manchester City. And I look at Arsenal, who are perfectly balanced as we speak right now. So they have to be the favorites to win the league right now at this moment. And they have all the ingredients that take to win that title.
December 19th, 2023, Janusz has Arsenal winning the title. And last year, it took me, honestly, the whole of the season, and I still couldn't get him to say that. So you've heard it here first. We'll be back next week, or maybe the week after that.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because, you know, I was thinking, you know, maybe I should be more sensible and not go. But, you know, it's a big game.
Janusz.
You know what? No, you know why? Because there's a massive test against Liverpool, and you know that's the result's not necessarily going to change. It's not going to change the way I think of Arsenal, because you're going to lose games, and especially as I've mentioned, I mean, Liverpool obviously understand how big that game is after the draw against Manchester United to keep up with everybody. So it's going to be a massive test.